end up like I haven't been getting like the crazy mad advertisements like everybody else has been getting, but I've seen like the small advertisements for it. So, but yeah, I haven't like gotten the whole like screen covering. Hey, come play our Discord games, which everybody apparently has been getting lately.
My
But
internet service provider has really been sucking shit. I don't know if something is going on. They've really been doing a terrible job. I don't know what to do about it. We're like in. I mean, it could be something on my end, but like, I don't know. But they are notorious for providing terrible service. So
well, yeah,
hard to say.
it's hard to
They're
say
doing
whether or
me
not
bad today and this week.
they're doing extra bad today, huh?
Yeah.
Doucheholes. Oh, that's an internet service provider for you. Trying to make sure faces are actually sitting on top of our bodies here, and then but yeah, it's gonna be interesting one day because I decided for today's episode I'm going to combine two things because I think one topic is just going to be way too. It's a really quick discussion, and I think it would just be. It would. I also wanted to create a theme for today's little excursion into the weird. So
kind of like when we found the magical telephone that time.
In a sense, but more I would say a little bit more simpler. We're not going to be unfortunate. I thankfully again was able to get the refund on that Etsy toaster, man. So that was good enough.
Oh, you did. So the time and universe traveling toaster is
It was
not something
thankfully
we're gonna worry about anymore.
No, it's thankfully returned. But again, I can just only hope that whenever I get my refunded, actual time machine, it's going to be an actual time machine and not,
whatever those strange
whatever
adventures
the hell,
were.
yeah, whatever the hell that was. I mean, who builds this crap? It was a terrible, terrible time traveling toaster. It did what it needed to do for the most part, except the one thing I did not like was I asked for cup holders. There was no cup holders. It said on the advertisement.
Where would they go? Yeah.
Well, they would go.
That's a very custom part for a toaster.
Well, explain that to. Well, that is a custom part for a toaster, but it's like pretty much standard ESRB across the board for for any other time travel dealing agent, or offering. You usually like that comes standard, man. Like all wheel drive and cup holders come standard with every single time machine.
Yeah, like, just not on a toaster.
Yeah. So and that's how they got me on the technicality, but there's some state laws about it. I had to do a lot of reading. I had to do a lot of reading, but thankfully we got that taken care of and it is no longer an issue.
Terrific.
Yep.
Congratulations. That sounds terrible.
By the way, funny story before we get started. So from last week's episode, I was watching the tape, and you know how I was trying to do like a Alex Jones like weirdo like conspiracy theorist like talk show dude's voice. I listened back to it.
Yes.
And I sounded like Jesse the Body Ventura, and I've never been more excited to do an impression wrong because now I have Jesse the Body Ventura in my repertoire.
They got a similar. I mean, I don't know if this is insulting to Jesse the Body Ventura, but they do have a vibe.
Jesse talks in this very staccato sort of manner.
Yeah. It is. It's that. Yeah, that dot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
the
short
Running
shot.
Man. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? He's like Captain Freedom or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, God.
Just recently, I've been doing a Stephen King thing.
That's right. You've been telling me you've been on a Stephen King kick.
I'm 2/3 of the way through Rear Window right as we speak.
Oh, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
I actually never saw that.
Secret Window. Yeah. What's Rear Window?
Oh, Rear Window was the it was the Jimmy Stewart. I saw that man kill a man through my window.
Oh, okay. So Secret Window is the what I'm watching. Yes. Yeah. Oh, Rear Window is like, and then like it's like Disturbia, right?
I have never actually seen Disturbia.
Do you know what I feel like it's that, but with that guy who eats people.
With that guy who eats people.
You know who I mean?
Uh,
Do I have to blow your mind right now about Shia
Anthony.
LaBeouf?
Oh, Shia LaBeouf. He
Do you know
eats
about
people.
Shia LaBeouf? Do you know about actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf?
I know the Shia LaBeouf musical. That's pretty much it. No, I mean, I know he's done other movies and shit, but like,
Wait, are we talking about the same? That might be what I'm talking about. The musical dance number is about a man.
They did mention a thing about cannibalism, but I haven't. I believe they might have mentioned something about that, but I haven't seen it in a minute.
Yeah. It's about a man like running through the woods away from actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Boys, Charter Spectrum, why do you blow my ass? It's insane. 64% of this stream has been dropped. Like that's why I start to like, did something suddenly change in my setup? Like, am I doing, and I can't, man, what's happening? I can hear you, but I can't hear, whoa. A lot of things are strange today. Man, things have been strange. I may have mentioned this to you. I was trying to get your stream up, and then other things stopped happening.
Huh. I should probably, yeah, that's not good.
Maybe I should just restart my PC, but I've been restarting it a lot, mainly because one of my strategies when I realized that my internet is doing bad is I unplug the router and the modem and I restart the PC. But now it's just getting to the point where it doesn't really matter. Because I don't know, because nothing is working.
That's poopy. That is very poopy. Musical.
Switch from turbo.
But yeah. So you need to do a restart, or are you good, or what are you thinking?
I was thinking about it.
I was gonna say you're starting to move in robotic like little.
Oh, am I? Is it getting bad for everybody? Like, yeah.
Or at least on my end.
I guess I'm gonna do it. Let's before we get going. It's 5:35.
I'm more than willing to wait the extra 5 to make sure that we're all good to go.
All right. It might not improve anything because really, just the light has been red since I went live. That's not red like I'm live. It's red like it's bad.
It's red as in
let's
you're not.
See. I'll be right back then.
Yeah, dude, take your time.
Okay, I'll be right back.
So I guess I'll have to entertain. Hi everybody. How we all doing? So let's see here. What have I been doing lately? I have been going through my video archives and trying to find stuff that I believe would be entertaining to people. And I think I'm terrible at it because I personally don't find myself to be very entertaining, and I don't know, I feel like I try. So but yeah, I've been going through like I did a series of Metal Gear Solid playthroughs where I did a whole bunch of 80s music for it, and a whole bunch of Fallout playthroughs with a whole bunch of ragtimey 1950s sort of like swing and stuff like that. And sock happy sort of rock and roll surf stuff. So yeah, I've been going through all that stuff, and it's been quite a process. I've been having an interesting time doing it because I've come to find that I need to. I need to be more engaging, I guess. I feel like I need to personally invest more into um having things to discuss whilst I'm playing games. Not like as much as there are enough people that do pop in and say hello and start conversations, and I know I'm well aware of the possibility of just not talking to anybody, but the fact that like it's like the concept of dead air in a radio show. I feel like a turd. I feel like I could be better. Okay, try to check all of our stuff here. Whew. All right. And actually, I'm gonna go step away for a moment, see if I can grab a little snacky before Kuya gets back. And yeah, we'll be back to have our general discussion. I guess I'll throw up. Well, it's already technically in the starting soon slot, so we might as well just keep it there. Um, what else have I been doing? I've been watching a lot of the old G4 show Code Monkeys. And I don't know. I feel very strangely uh I remember that show fondly, and just watching it back again, it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm older and more crotchety or some shit, but like, it's not as funny as I remembered it to be. Um, like at all. It's very minimally funny. The only funny parts I seem to find are is like a one-liner or two. It's not even the whole plot that really gets me. And I think Master Shake does the voice of the the really nerdy developer there in the show. I forgot his name. Is like Todd or something like that. Here he is.
Hello.
All right, looking much better.
Oh yeah. Oh, hopefully. But I mean, it could be. I mean, and I'm gonna really. I mean, it wouldn't be like an issue if I suddenly had to restart my PC every day. But I mean, it's like it's an indication that something's going wrong, and I would love to blame the internet company. Well, let's see. I could be getting ahead of myself. The light might turn red immediately. I don't know. It could be that something's getting clogged up because obviously, like anybody, I live and the PC is old now. I don't know. If it's working right now, then that's fine. So,
I have a
how you
feeling.
doing?
I have a feeling. It could quite possibly be that Spectrum, knows you're talking shit, and now they're just trying to
Yeah,
dish it
they
to
hear
you.
me and they're like, "All right, turn it on for a little while," and make him
Shut
think
it down.
that
Shut
I
it down
wouldn't be
now.
with the amount of nasty things I've said to their employees of various levels of authority throughout the years. I would not be
Mm,
surprised if there was someone whose whole job it was to pay attention to and torment me specifically. In fact, I think that
mm.
most American corporations have a job listing which is to specifically spy on and torment me, Dave.
Dude,
Pretty sure.
you know what?
Seems real obvious to me at this
Dude,
point.
that's me, and again, it's not to propose any sort of anti-vax like concepts or whatever, but that's me with doctors.
Yeah, right.
That's me
Yeah,
with
I'm gonna start.
doctors.
Yeah.
That is me with like that's their entire job for them as to me as a Medicaid recipient. It is their entire job to make things absolutely
Difficult.
unbearable and I'm never not sick. So
I
yeah, it's stupid.
here we are.
Here we are.
2023, bitch.
But yeah, I'm pretty much gravy boat to go. But if you're ready to go, I think I'm back in the saddle here. Yes, yes.
I kind of think so. Yeah.
Hmm. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm sorry. I
No,
am
it's
good to go. I
dude,
am in fact good to go.
if anything, you helped me with my little situation here. We both got situations happening and occurring. Uh, and that is the beauty of the starting soon screen.
What I'm doing is not helping. And the light is already, it is not solid red, but it has flickered, so I don't know what to say about old Charter Spectrum. I'm pretty sure whether or not I am now part of the problem, or if I ever was, I'm still pretty sure that that company blows goats and that their service is terrible to me, specifically.
As to quote you, they can suck your asshole until your head caves in.
Yeah, like a fucking sinkhole. Yeah. Like the ceiling that collapsed that killed Jamie Lannister. You know what I found out? We were I don't know if you're aware or how much, you
Mm,
look at my Discord or whatever, or
I do.
I'm not even sure how much I've even mentioned this,
Mm.
but me and Anna have been watching The Maze Runner, and she's been talking about it on her podcast.
Oh yes,
And
yes.
it turns out that her most hated character, Teresa, is crushed by a rock.
What is like you can't go wrong with can't go wrong with like the worst character getting crushed by something.
I mean, I guess, but like, it's like you might as well say like God reached down and flicked him off the table.
Bing.
Like it's not. It's like a truck ran him over. Like
I mean, it worked
it just ends.
what is it? Minky Momo. What was the anime girl that the oh god, what is it? The magical girl that got hit by a truck and that was like the end of the series.
Wow, I don't know. That sounds
That sounds like
like
an episode
Milk
that we'll have to.
Chan or whatever.
Oh, Super Milk Chan's great too. Well, you know what, dude? We'll have a day for weird anime. I think that I think
Have we
can.
talked about Puni Puni Puemi?
No, but I've
It's the
seen
XL
that.
Saga sequel. Yeah. Not sequel. It's
But
XL Saga's FLCL is what it is.
now see, I would probably compare that um like an XL Saga. Oh God, what is that? Yuru Yuri, basically.
I don't know what those
It,
words no.
it was basically a like it was like a high school. I think it was a high school or middle school drama show that came out in like the late 2000s. It was about like it was supposed to be like Azumaga Daioh, but like the girls act like the guys sort of thing.
Okay. Okay.
Where the girls act gross about but it's mostly pertaining to each other, which is bizarre and weird and very unsettling. It is a I would not
Oh,
recommend it to
was
anybody.
there an anime called something like I'm gonna fuck 100 boys?
I'm not familiar with that one. Sounds interesting.
Oh my god. It might not have had none of those things might have that might not none of any of those words may appear in the title, but like none of what I just said might be in the title. It might just be so what the show was about that I can't believe it was not the title. I'm gonna fuck 100 boys. That's all it was.
Wow.
This might not be something that exists. I might have made this up.
He might have even written it. Who knows? I might have written it. Just like and again, cue segue into our topics for today. Who knows who could have wrote that, or if it even existed at all. But if we tell people that it exists at a massive scale, there's a potential that it could come to fruition.
Oh, that we're doing this kind of thing today. This is what we're talking. Okay. Continue,
Yeah,
please.
but
Okay,
we
I'm with
will.
you.
Well, even before we get into that, should we cue the music? I think we should cue the
Oh yeah,
music.
shit, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we're late. It's my fault. It's
Oh,
a
oh,
lot
dude.
of things happened. It's okay.
Ladies and
Happy to
gentlemen,
be here.
the intro.
It's been a fucking week. God damn it! Like not even. Yeah. You.
And that's it. Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome to Thought That Was Weird. Happy Tuesday. Greetings, salutations. Yeah. Welcome to the show. We're going to be, having some very interesting topics of discussion today. We're going to be talking about, the book I, Libertine. But first of all, we're going to be talking about the quote-unquote HungHorse incident involving Metal Gear Solid 5. And so for the theme today, I thought it'd be necessary to, break out the cardboard box. What do you think? I'm hiding around here, but I could be in that cardboard box, but I couldn't. Today's episode is pretty much all about deception. So.
Wow, I can't believe I don't have a joke about Metal Gear Solid and the cardboard box. Is there anyone in there with you?
Actually, funnily enough, I've actually been wearing this baguette mask the entire time.
Oh, wait.
Deception.
So who's in the box?
Well, yeah, we got Snagette over there. Oh no.
In Metal Gear Solid.
Snake! What happened? Snake!
I feel like he gets into the box with at least 2 different people.
There's
Whoa.
Well, we got a
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah, Snagette got a game over, man. So, I guess we'll have to...
Solid Snagette?
Solid Snagette. So I guess we'll have to, we'll have to start from the reload here, so I think we'll start from here. So, but yeah, I, again, thought that was a necessary little segment. That was, that was so worth the setup. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Metal Gear Solid 5 and the HungHorse incident regarding the online gameplay for Metal Gear Solid 5. As I think we've discussed before, I've played Metal Gear Solid 5 just not that long ago, and I think and if you've played it too, right, Kuya?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a masterpiece. It's a great game, despite the fact that as we both know, it went unfinished.
I'm not ready to call it a masterpiece.
I'm ready to call it.
You don't have to, like, it's not like saying you can't, if you call something a masterpiece, it's not like you can't call something else the dude made also a masterpiece, right?
Yes, no, absolutely, no. I don't believe it's like.
I have very mixed. You know what?
No, yeah, okay, let's discuss.
Whether or not, obviously, Death Stranding is a masterpiece,
yes.
but that's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm really saying is that I have terribly mixed feelings about Metal Gear Solid 5.
Ooh.
But it just unfinished, but just nothing. And what was unfinished is the backbone of it. Like whatever is supposed to hold all of those missions. It was just like, it was kind of just, here's a bunch of stuff that happened.
Right.
Here's a bunch of episodes. We were going to finish this, but we got sick of Kojima doing cocaine with Mads Mikkelsen. I don't know.
Was that a thing?
I don't. Probably not.
I would assume that Kojima kind of minds his own and doesn't. I think he seems kind of like a loner cat. He doesn't he seems again very he inputs these. It seems to be this like his own personality into these
As far as his
characters.
storytelling,
Yeah,
yes.
he puts a lot of himself into that, and you can kind of tell. But
There was a lot of.
yeah. There was a lot of.
Well, whenever the whole thing happened, whenever everything fell apart
Mhm.
with Metal Gear Solid 5, it did have something to do with him spending a lot of time with Guillermo and Mads Mikkelsen and Sam Reedus. That was part of the
Really?
problem. Yeah, and he's always playing with toys, and
Yeah.
I don't know. The cocaine part was just, I imagine that when people like that get together to play with toys and eat ramen, and most of what I know about Hideo Kojima, quite obviously at this point, comes from his Instagram, where he's mostly playing with toys and hanging out with those guys.
Which, again, like, nothing cooler than, ending up with your face, face down in a pile of blow with Norman Reedus. That sounds like a grand old time.
I don't think they were doing cocaine.
Yeah, again, we're not an actual news source, but what I will state is the actual sources that I got this from. This was originally a story released last year on a YouTube video done by DidYouKnowGaming and Some Ordinary Gamers. Please watch the original video about this. They went through a lot of effort. They were the original people to do the investigation into this, and they got some mad attention for it. I'm merely I'm not. I hope I'm actually giving a little bit of a new information as it pertains to this.
Your own MGSV experience.
Yes, I don't want to. I don't know. I want to make sure that these guys get the credit for their research and everything else, because there was a lot to this, a lot, and if it weren't for them pressing the proper people, this story probably wouldn't have come to fruition or be discussed whatsoever. So of course we start with the release of the Phantom Pain. Now I remember when this released because for a it was like a I believe like the following June for my birthday, I ended up getting a copy of this for PlayStation 3.
Yep, this was on PlayStation 3. Jesus Christ.
I know, right? And it still ran like a
champ. It rocked.
It was great for PS3.
I can't believe it was on the same machine that MGS4 was on.
Exactly.
This game rocked the PS3 off of its foundation.
And I'm surprised that everyone's PlayStations didn't take off playing this game with the the graphics in it. The graphics were phenomenal for PlayStation 3, I mean. And again, we will come back to the PS3, but it gets even more interesting. So so it's released September 1st, 2015. I ended up getting a copy myself. I've never played any of the Metal Gear series prior to this, and I got absolutely hooked. Not knowing the story. This is a very like everybody's like, you got to play like the games in a particular, order in order to really understand the story, in order to catch everything. I felt I was absolutely enveloped in this story the first time that I played it. What a fantastic game. So again, like this game has a mad fan base, an absolutely massive fan base. It's insane. I mean, again, as we discussed, Hideo Kojima is like pretty much like the peak of video game producers, of the 20th century. And yes. So I guess we'll go into the gameplay aspects of this that people have found really interesting. And as we discussed earlier, so the game is divided into 2 chapters: Revenge and Race. And again, really gives insight on racial divisions in South Africa, into Russia's imperialism within Afghanistan, and how we were the ones that initially gave all the weapons to the quote unquote terrorist cells that we know now as Al Qaeda and ISIS.
Yes.
Yes, super fascinating and super interesting that he actually laid it out there like that, because I don't know.
1980s Russians in Afghanistan story.
Yeah, you don't really hear about it too much.
Like in the song.
You don't even think about the Gulf War very much, because it wasn't really people dispute how much of a war was it. There was definitely some shit going on over there. So, but that's besides the point. So again, phenomenal game, phenomenal plot points. So most players ended up finding out that really quickly that the game was only 2 chapters, and there's a lot of speculation that because people, after the Game Awards came out, people were aware of what happened to Kojima, and people are aware that Konami just absolutely, as much as it was a mutual agreement, there was some fuckery that Konami was committing. It was found by a data miner named Saladin.
It was generally agreed upon that Konami was doing some fuckery.
Yeah, it was. I think it's generally agreed upon that Konami loves.
Yeah, I made it sound like it was Kojima's fault, and I'm sure that he was doing many annoying things, but Konami is generally considered to be fuckers.
Oh yeah,
especially in this case.
They did nothing to. Yeah, that's besides the point. So what is the point is that data miners, fans of the game, ended up finding a title card for what was supposed to be a potential 3rd chapter called Peace.
Yep.
How much are you familiar with the missing chapter? What do you know of it?
Well, I think mainly what I know about is the situation where is the chapter only unlocked if everyone disarms? I know about the disarming of everybody's base.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I know. And I know that someone tried to cheat and get the servers to think that all the bases had been disarmed. And I know that basically eventually, even when they tried to force Konami to do it, Konami didn't seem to want to release anything.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually Kojima was like, actually, this was a social experiment. Good job. I think that's my, you asked me what I know. That's my summary.
Okay,
I don't know anything about the actual chapter piece.
Okay.
But that's what I know about the story.
The story. Yeah. So the chapter piece was basically, yes, that it was pretty much only it was suggested that it was only so I guess we'll start with the actual game portion of the online thing. So the basis of the game is that players build forward operating bases, FOBs, that hold basically their stocks for resources, their weapons, etc. And you can also expand your
Zebras,
bases to do more stuff.
Any zebra, goats, right? Sheep or goats.
Yep.
Tigers.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
A bear. Something like hedgehogs or something, right?
Yes, you can yeah, and an assortment of birds you can carry onto the platforms.
That's the important part.
It's like
I had quite a zoo.
It's like Minecraft, but with nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
But
are there tigers? I feel like maybe I fought a tiger.
I think there was like a mountain
A
lion.
bear definitely killed me, a lot.
A bear definitely.
The legendary, was it a legendary bear?
I believe that there's capability of
a specific bear. I'm not talking about any old bear in the game. There's a bad bear.
There's a legendary bear that's that you have to.
Very bad bear. Oh boy.
Yeah, you have to really keep your distance with that bear. But so players have forward operating bases that hold the resources and stuff like that, and it is within the players decision making on whether or not they would like to build nuclear weapons. as is the basis of the game is the of course, it's a very anti-nuke story, uh, but so it's within doing these little missions that you can, yes, go around and defuse other people's nuclear devices, as well as not produce your own in order to limit the amount of nuclear devices ending up in a server, let alone the entirety of the game. But again, through the data mining, they had found out that there's an 8-minute cutscene, and it's discovered that the online version of the game had a special mission to complete.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to disarm all the nukes on a particular platform, also leaving the overall nuke count on a server to 0. And again, Kojima has
By
been
the way,
very...
by platform, you mean PS3? You mean every nuke on every PS3, or is it American versus
there's actually
oceanic PS3s? Were there 3 regions of?
So Konami would release like solid numbers of each platform's nuke counts, and again, Kojima had been basically for years kind of hinting about this. He was quoted as saying, "At this point, I give the player the option to think about acquiring a nuclear weapon in order to deter these attacks, a kind of threat." It illustrates the cycle of nuclear weapons that inspires people and nations to enter into that system. It's something that you can only really do in video games. That was Simon Parkin, July 18th, 2015, from The Guardian. So, again, because Kojima has these very cryptic underlying Easter eggs in every game that he dishes out, most of the player base felt that this was another wink wink nudge nudge to everybody. So people began questioning him about it, and of course he would say all of these really cryptic things, and then eventually Konami starts tweeting out these super cryptic things like wink wink nudge nudge stuff. So and what's even funnier is that it was for years. So after the game came out, people believed that they immediately were people had seen this cutscene and said that they were part of factions that had disarmed the nukes on PlayStation 3. But Konami later ended up refuting those claims, saying that
Are these the guys that I said I thought maybe cheated? Did they cheat? Are you going to get to it? Am I getting ahead of yourselves?
Sorry. We're getting a little bit ahead, but that's okay. Right. That's totally okay. But you're absolutely right, though. It was once again, Konami said well, you didn't do it the right way, basically.
Yeah.
It took so again, people are saying there's it's been achieved. So why hasn't this cutscene played? And it turned out that after this disarmament video that had the cutscene, when it was released, Konami basically was just biting their nails, oh God, what do we do now? Because they found the cutscene, even though we basically disabled it. What are we gonna do? So they began, leaving more little breadcrumbs for people to find and hints. Saying in a tweet, the truth can be found for peace, which means...
Oh boy, Konami said that?
Konami said the truth can be found for peace with a capital P, as in a reference to the title of the
chapter. Mm-hmm. Those sneaky piggies.
Uh-huh. And again, this... let's see. When did that come out? That was sometime in 2017. So this is 2 years after the game's release. So Konami begins dropping even they begin dropping hints and everything else. Some games believe achieved. So again, they keep on dropping all these hints. Konami then begins sending out retweets of players who have sent them tweets saying everybody disarm your nukes so that way we can get the chapter 3 ending. So
Right.
it's at that point that players and the general public believe that disarmament is the end game for Metal Gear
And it
Solid
actually
5.
could. And what year is this?
This is 2017. This is 2 years after the game came out.
This is okay.
And we will enjoy some of that fuckery when we come around to it. So February 2018. Excuse me. Step back another year. We're gonna go just shortly after the Konami disarmament retweets in May of 2017. Around the same time in 2017, Hideo Kojima is quoted as saying, "Players feel the need to acquire weapons, but then players across the globe choose to disarm themselves. The experience and its process is the chief aim of Metal Gear." So it's like blatant to people. Okay, this has got to be where Chapter 3 is hiding.
Yeah.
So people start organizing. Like, again, like, it's just super fascinating how the internet gets people to organize on these very interesting subjects. So, so after these pleas have come out from other players to Konami to the general player base, it was reported on February 2nd, 2018, on the Steam version of the game, the disarmament video was triggered, which was then found again by Konami to be an improper.
The judges were like, nah.
They were the judge, jury, and executioner as it pertains to the actual disarmament, if you will.
Wow.
Yeah. So
they don't have it.
Yeah. So in February,
nothing exists, right?
Yeah.
And I think that
nothing is fair. Nothing is fair. The house always wins. But they said that it had been a glitch and that nukes still remained on servers. Konami investigates this. Yeah, like they investigated and took 2 days.
Zero.
Took 2 days to investigate and said that they didn't get anything. It was only during the pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic, that a player named TheHungHorse had gone along and started asking people.
TheHungHorse, yes.
He started developing his own collective groups of nuke disarmaments. Let's see, and again, it was around this time that a lot of the groups that were prior to HungHorse's faction, the Anti-Nuke gang. It was prior to that groups like Metal Gear Philanthropy and Never Be Game Over subreddits were also organized groups that were trying to end, nukes. So, again, a couple more triggerings up until 2020 occurred, and again, Konami said they're bullshit. There's still nukes on the servers. Try again.
Konami.
Yeah. So HungHorse during the pandemic is like, okay, we got a whole bunch of people who don't have gigs. They don't have anything else to do with themselves. Let's cut to the chase and get this done. I want Chapter 3. So the HungHorse began learning how to data mine, and he data mines the game again and begins sharing information with his crew. And it is this new information, particularly pertaining to PlayStation 3 servers, that reinvigorates this entire crew. So again, this is like 2020. It's been about 5 years since the game's release, and it's been about 2 since PlayStation 3 servers for most games basically don't exist anymore.
Right. Yeah.
The one game that is still surviving though is Metal Gear Solid 5 Online. So they came to realize that the PS3 at this time was so incredibly old that it affected the amount of players in the server, thusly affecting the amount of nukes that could potentially show up. Less players equals less nukes, or at least that's the theory. And it was even shown in multiple cases that they retweeted multiple times, Konami, that the platform that the numbers were on and the platform that the nukes were on and the numbers of how many nukes per platform. And more often than not, nukes showed up less often on PlayStation 3 servers because they're played less. So
Okay.
so this anti-nuke gang organization collectively bought
Went out and got
PS3s.
PS3s.
They went out and bought some vintage PS3s and began whittling down the nuclear numbers. On July 28th, 2020, the cutscene by the Anti-Nuke gang was once again triggered. And it was so widely celebrated that
they were like, "This is it. This is legit.
This is
the
legit."
One.
Hideo Kojima even congratulated them for for their accomplishments.
Wow.
The HungHorse was interviewed by multiple gaming magazines, as
All
well
right,
as multiple.
Hideo.
Yes, fascinating shit. But
Hideo weighs in. Now it's serious.
But Hideo's like, yeah, that was great job.
Yeah.
And of course, Konami, what do they say? We have to investigate.
God damn. They don't have anything to release. They just don't want to do it.
No, they're like cops. They're like, we investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing.
Basically cops.
They're cops. They investigated themselves and found no wrongdoing.
All right. Yeah, sounds like, yeah.
And again, so Konami begins firing back at this crew and saying, like, we'll see once we do our investigation whether or not you did what you said you did. And instead of it being the couple days that all these other investigations were, initially, this takes a month or two. And it is after that Konami, in a multiple tweet, states that once again, disarmament was not obtained, but this time, this particular disarmament was obtained due to quote-unquote improper conduct. And they actually banned a member of the Anti-Nuke gang, and stating that they would be taking countermeasures to deter any more improper conduct.
Crappy.
Yep.
IMO.
Although, this seems like to be the down-and-out portion of the story for the Anti-Nuke gang, but they do rally back, and actually, I will give that rally back here in just a moment. I'm going to step off for a second. I'll be right back.
All right. Okay. I'm still behind on everything. I'm being such a piece of shit. I'm playing Elden Ring instead of doing anything.
Shit. Okay.
I know the feeling.
Yes, nothing worse than drinking too much tea. But
nothing worse than being full of tea.
Indeed. So.
Oh my god.
Oh, what happened? Who exploded?
Oh my god.
Now I'm really intrigued. Now I'm really intrigued.
Nothing. I'm being an asshole. God damn it though.
Spectrum.
Fuck Spectrum. Yeah. I'm having a very vivid and terrible flashback. I just became drunk by reading a post on Discord. I'm now too drunk to continue.
I am terribly sorry.
I can't believe I'm this drunk.
Oh, okay, just out of nowhere.
You ever have a tilt?
I've been there, like from acid flashback to
No.
Yeah, a tilt.
That's the name of a brand of booze. That's a booze. That's a beverage. That's a brand.
Oh,
that's a carbonated drink.
I've never had one. No.
Boy, that's the kind of thing you forget exists It was like caffeine. It was like Four Loko, kind of.
Oh, okay.
It was like caffeine, booze, energy drink, booze, a malt liquor sweetened caffeinated drink, alcoholic energy drinks. Oh my god. Like I can taste it. Like I can feel like it made me feel a specific kind of
I
green drunk that's sitting in this room right
mm,
now. I feel like oh my god. It was like oh my god.
just like so there was a liquor when I was a kid that, well, not a kid, I was like an older teenager, but like, when we would get booze from the local liquor store, uh, underage, we somehow had a friend who looked 21 and he got away with it. He would go in and we could only afford the cheapest shit, so we always got what was called 5-star whiskey.
Huh.
It is the most disgusting whiskey on the planet. And like it's usually with like well whiskeys. Anytime that I smell a well whiskey, that like I immediately begin to kind of feel the tummy churning, and I can already feel the headache coming on. I'm just thinking about it. I'm starting to feel hungover.
What
Uh,
makes it a well whiskey? Like is there
it,
something
there's like it's considered to be like the bottom tier cheapest whiskey, like cheap whiskey
Oh,
is
okay,
what
okay.
what is technically considered well whiskey, but I don't know. Some people even consider Jameson to be a well whiskey, which is improper. That's not correct. But
Okay.
that's besides the point. Anyway, so all right, so where were we at? Anti-Nuke gang gets caught by Konami doing some shady
How,
shit.
how about Mad Dog 2020? Sorry.
Oh shit! I didn't do.
Okay.
I never did Mad Dog, but like
No.
no, I did Colt or St. Pauli's Girl or Paps, because
Mad
those are the
Dog
cheap,
was piss. Pabst is of course.
or
That's
Natty.
yeah.
Natties
Oh
are
yeah. Oh well,
yeah.
Natty is the truth. Natty is of course the answer. The true yeah.
It is
If you really want to drink some garbage water.
Have you ever wondered what water would taste like if you left it out for 5 months? Well, there you go.
Filtered it through garbage.
And then spritzed it with a little bit of pine salt. There you go.
Oh boy. All right, tell me about
So
this horse hung man.
this horse hung man. So the anti-nuke gang get popped, and yeah, it
They
doesn't.
get popped.
They get
The
popped.
fucking Konami Popo comes.
The Konami Popo comes in and pops them, and says this was the denuclearization was done with improper conduct, so it doesn't count. The anti-nuke gang, not out, began stating that Konami themselves were being disingenuous about their conduct. And again, to quote from the video that was done by Some Ordinary Gamers and DidYouKnowGaming, it was described by HungHorse himself in an interview with them that there were sets of nukes in the game that had no forward operating base to back it up.
Okay.
So, which meant that these
So you
nuclear
couldn't, yeah.
you can defuse these nuclear devices.
And
These
they kind of don't exist.
yeah. So
Like if,
and these were known
is
as
it,
phantom
someone
nukes.
deletes their shit
Yeah.
off the server, does the nuke stay there even though their base is gone? Something like that?
Yeah, so the thought was that and this is to quote HungHorse himself, the reason that the phantom news exists is likely due to players' offline assets get reset, but not their online assets. So
Okay.
it's predominantly an issue with the online play of the game, and Metal Gear Solid 5 was known to have a very 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 glitchy interface system for the online play. And what was beyond that is that no matter how much you could refresh the tab with all the players who had nuclear devices, you more often than not would actually have the full listing of nuclearly active players. So it was within this explanation that HungHorse began saying that their efforts basically whittled down the entire server population of nuclear devices down to 40 nukes. And it was within these 40 nukes that they found that these 40 nukes were phantom nukes. So,
Okay,
and
yep.
ergo could not destroy them. So, one of the Anti-Nuke gang's programmers, this gentleman named Stefferp, who is going to be discussed multiple times throughout this.
I almost feel like when I first heard about this, when I first heard that like there was something in the game that required all nukes to be disarmed, I first of all, yeah, I thought, well, that would be impossible considering people, but I also, my second thought was it will be impossible to track. Like, how would Konami know? Like, there will be exactly this kind of shit will happen. There will be phantom nukes. There will be people who delete their games. There will be people who never log on again, and there will be, you know, and there will be some matchmaking glitch where just certain nukes will never get matched, and people will never be able to invade those bases and get them. Like, I just those were all, and those thoughts happened as fast as I just said them. Was the first time I heard about this. I was like, well, that will never work for all of these reasons. Jesus Christ.
And dude, I was blown away by this, and the fact that like you don't develop games, I don't develop games. The fact that
yeah, I don't know anything.
We can recognize that there's some fuckery going around.
I know. I'm like that. Will there every now and again someone says something about a game, and my first reaction is like, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna be like that. Remember Spore?
I still haven't played that game actually, but I do. I don't
not
know
what was promised is its reputation. Stephen Molyneux has got a rap sheet.
So
wait, is that no?
No, this is the scene from the. Or I should point it that way.
This is the scene from the who is the game designer whose last name is? I don't want to get this wrong. Whatever I just said was not correct.
The game designer from Spore? I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, please continue. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for getting distracted.
No, not a big deal at all, bud. So again, these phantom nukes generally were a massive issue. They put in all this effort and they get the numbers down to nearly zero, only to
the guy I'm talking about, Peter Molyneux, didn't even have anything to do with this. I don't think. Never mind. Peter Molyneux did something called Goddess, which was also famously unfinished.
I think I'm familiar with that game, but so yeah, the number of nukes sat around 40 weeks, like 40 for weeks. And
40 phantom nukes. That's almost a Metal Gear story in itself. About 40 nukes just missing around the globe. Anyway,
and they're all being hidden by a nefarious company. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again,
Konami probably.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's not to say that what is going to be discussed here was proper conduct whatsoever, but it is to say that deception for good has some positives, and particularly with this story, at least a touch. So the number of phantom nukes at around 40 for like weeks. It was around this time that Stefferp, the hacker guy, found a way to momentarily disable the refresh count for a server for 1 whole minute.
Okay.
So the gang basically said that if it wasn't for the fact that Stefferp basically hacked the Konami server and made the numbers reach zero, that there would be no way whatsoever for them to reach zero. There's no way to gain that cutscene in any manner. So again, as it turned out, this Stefferp guy was the disgraced player and banned player that Konami pinpointed and kicked out.
Yep.
So again, Steffer doubled down on the legitimacy of the hack and reasons why he did it, and also pointed out that Konami, again in their disingenuous nature, changed a bit of the code for triggering the cutscene, so much so that it was just like a slight change, and it was within that slight change that nobody could reasonably get that cutscene.
It'll never happen at that point. They're like, no, just
it will never happen again.
But the thing they did wrong is they never said, like they should have just been like, we don't have it and we're not going to publish it. Like, why did they let this go on if they were just never going to do it?
Well, it's because most video game, as far as I understand, like video game companies work off of not just the revenue, but they also work off of the amount of active players on a game, I would say.
Sure, okay. So if they're keeping the game alive,
they're trying to keep the game
alive. Dangling a carrot.
Yeah, they're dangling a carrot, but it's been pretty much eaten. They're just hanging the greens and a little orange nubbin at the end.
Yeah, okay.
And
the carrot's gone.
Yeah. And unfortunately, everybody is like still chasing after that little piece.
Everyone's still chomping at it.
Yep.
Every now and again, someone gets a little bite.
So again, DidYouKnowGaming basically pressed Steffer about the reasoning of why he did it, and then he basically broke down and basically dished the reality of the situation, which was that Steffer did all of these hacks in order he did all of these hacks, and it turns out that all the effort that was done by the player base was not true. All of the numbers that the Anti-Nuke gang claimed that they put up turned out to not be real either. It wasn't just, okay, and again, Steffer created this program, what was it called? It was called like the, oh god, it was like the Nuke Churner or something like that. I had the name down, but I guess I didn't write it down. But there's a program, an AI program that Steffer created that would basically infiltrate every single player's base that had a nuke. It would identify a player's base that had a nuke,
okay,
and then it would immediately destroy it. But and this was the really sneaky part, is that according to Steffer, he made it seem that instead of it being like a hack into the nuke, the FOB to steal the nuke, it was in fact it looked like somebody had actually infiltrated, done the job, and left.
It looked like a player infiltration had occurred.
Yes.
And it had legitimately been destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah, and again,
this is
again, some Metal Gear Solid story archetypes abound, like aplenty. There's just
fucking hacker achieving world peace by
oh god, what's
a false peace. That's like some Watchmen shit.
God, who's the dude with the glasses? Heinrich or whatever his name is.
Is it Huey Heinrich? Is Heinrich
Huey.
Their last name? One of them is Octagon. Otacon.
Otacon, yeah.
Otacon is Otacon Huey? No, Otacon is Heinrich.
Heinrich, that's his name.
Or is Heinrich their last name?
I believe that's Heinrich's. Heinrich is the last name, and his first name is Huey Heinrich, I believe.
Huey Heinrich.
And
that's the one in 5.
Yeah.
Huey is in 5.
Who also goes by Otaku? Yes.
No. Otacon is Huey's son.
It's his son? What?
Otacon in like Metal Gear Solid 2 and 1
I'm losing track of the storyline. You're right.
No, Otacon is in 1 and 4.
Yeah, and he comes way after everything.
Right, and this is in the end. 5 is in the 80s.
Yes, that's
and Huey is Otacon's father. I don't know. I don't know what Otacon's name is.
Yeah, I just know he was initially, he wanted to be called Otaku, and then he got his name changed. Then he changed it to Otacon or something like that. It was something weird like that. I don't know, but again,
it definitely had something to do with Japanese animes.
It had something to do.
That's literally he very famously talks about Japanese animes in Metal Gear Solid 1.
Oh yeah, and a crap ton too. So So, and again, going back to the interview done by DidYouKnowGaming, Steffer was quoted as saying that again, despite doing what he did, he still felt that Konami was still in the wrong for being disingenuous about actually obtaining the third chapter. And he says, I quote, "Konami never communicates with the players about anything. We all tried to get them to acknowledge the flaws in the online system and how disarmament is impossible, but they never once commented on it. I know it's technically cheating, but the online part of MSG5
But
or
it's just
MGSV,
impossible.
yeah, but
Insane.
the online part of MGSV is such a disaster. It truly is the only way that event ever could have happened, and rightfully so.
Crazy.
And he noted these particular flaws. One was that the nuclear bracket for players never reloaded properly. Pro nuke players cheaters is another possibility that I'd never considered. The people that are just like, no, fuck you, I'm gonna make a whole bunch of nukes, and I found a glitch
keep making new games with new bases with new nukes.
And there was something along the lines of that with a particular glitch to create nukes, that you could create 16 nukes, and for each base you could only take down like one nuke a day for each player, or at least that's how Konami worked the rules out.
Sure.
So it was technically impossible if you had even one player cheating the system using this loophole to dupe nuclear devices. There's just no end in sight. There's no way that people could have gotten it back. But here's the other thing that a lot of people generally don't talk about, and I think it's something that needs to be brought up a lot more as it pertains to Konami. Konami is not a game company. They are a gambling game company. They don't make video games. They make pachinko and slot machines with skins revolving around the games that they still have the rights and own.
Have they done anything? Have they released any games?
So I actually looked this up, and oh god, what was it? Metal Gear Solid 5 was one of the last. It was like that and a Castlevania game were the last releases that I saw.
Lords of Shadow 2.
Lords of the Shadow. I don't believe I saw that one, but I
that's the last Castlevania game.
Oh, was it? But Konami releases.
Yeah, it might have been Mirror of Fate, but I mean, they dropped that. Right around the same time they stopped making Castlevania games, and they started making. In fact, it's something like I forget the exact terminology, but the Castlevania slot machine is erotic.
I've heard about that, yeah. So, and it seems that Konami is going to be releasing a Castlevania Dead Cells crossover. I have no idea.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I mean but you know what that is? They licensed Dead Cells to put Castlevania graphics into Dead Cells. That's what they licensed. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Dead
It
Cells
is
to use their
ridiculous.
property, basically. Yeah.
Yes. So, but yeah, again, it is very blatant that Konami doesn't really care about their properties. They don't care about their fan base. They don't care about the storytelling. It is about profit. It is not about making art. It is about profit. And I think it's very not far off, as much as Konami denies this entire situation. It's not that far off to think that Konami stacked the deck for themselves being a gambling company, because I said earlier, the house always wins.
Idea of peace was just a corporate trap all along.
Mm-hmm.
GG, gamers.
Yeah. And again, it only further proves how they don't really care about their product.
The game is playing you.
Look at Metal Gear Survivor. What the hell was that? Terrible concepts. Only to push what they believe to be their hot selling items, rather than actually focusing on that hot selling item. It's like putting Taylor Swift on a can of Hormel chili. It doesn't make the chili better, but for some reason people will buy it. But,
yeah, I'll buy it.
well, I actually kind of like Hormel chili, so I can't say too much. But on the general, most people don't go out and buy Hormel chili. And again, today's episode of Thought That Was Weird is brought to you by Hormel chili. Hormel chili looks about the same going in as it does going out. So,
I wasn't sure if I was gonna buy Hormel chili today, but if Taylor Swift is on the can, I'll take 5.
I'll take the 15-ounce can today. I don't know that song. Anyway, I don't know any Taylor Swift songs. I except for
She's got some bangers.
I almost forgot that's an Avril Lavigne song. That boyfriend song. Hey, you,
I don't
you,
like your. Okay,
boyfriend.
yeah.
Your girlfriend, yeah.
Okay.
But
Survive shares some DNA with Death Stranding. I feel like there's like a theory that Survive is a lot of stuff that Kojima left lying around, and they were like, well,
let's try to
or like members of his team that had been working on Death Stranding and stuff like that. Because I mean, really, there's a lot of like just kind of similar things going on.
And just to go back really quick to Norman Reedus and Kojima, the fact that Norman Reedus can't keep his mouth shut about Death Stranding is probably the funniest thing to me.
Norman Reedus is great. I watched an episode of AMC's Ride because of that fucking video game.
Was it any good? I never actually saw it.
High as shit. Every time, like me and like my friend Harris had been playing Death Stranding, and every time you poop or whatever, you see a commercial for AMC's Ride, and we were like, "All right, put on an episode." And I don't know, Norman Reedus was riding around Italy or some shit. It was. If that's the kind of thing you think you want to watch, then it's probably pretty good. I couldn't tell. It was
starring Norman Reedus. Yeah.
No, I couldn't tell if it was. I couldn't tell if it was something.
Jeez,
that sounds very dismissive, but that's kind of how I felt. I don't know. It was a travel show. I don't know if that's something.
Oh, it was a travel show. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
I would want to. Shit. Okay, that sounds kind of interesting. I like No Reservations and the other Anthony Bourdain shows. Like I love Anthony. Sure. I loved Anthony Bourdain. May he rest peacefully and powerfully. Like goodness gracious, that was a hard blow to take, especially considering that like he was the reason I got into cooking, and he also died.
Dear.
He also committed suicide on my birthday.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was a rough thing to. So I'm celebrating my 30th birthday, and all of a sudden, hey, Anthony Bourdain's dead. Oh, fuck.
I was born on Hideo Kojima's birthday.
That's cool. That's a cool birthday to have.
Those are some things that happened on our birthdays.
and that will also wrap up the story of Metal Gear Solid 5's
Crazy.
TheHungHorse.
They never had anything. I feel like if they had anything, they probably I feel like they scrapped everything that was left behind that he was working on that they had access to and put it into Survive, probably including some elements of what was supposed to happen in Peace. And I think they never there's no way they had anything, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, the amount of stuff that goes unreleased for no reason is probably huge, but it just seems like it was ridiculous. The whole story is ridiculous because
it's infuriating.
How were they ever going to keep track of it? But I can't believe that there was nothing there. Yeah. And I do believe that at the end of it, Hideo said in a tweet, it was like a picture of the chapter logo they had found of Peace, and he tweeted, "This was a social experiment."
Yes,
like, that was his final thoughts. Yeah. Like, this happened. This is how you guys behaved, and this is what I think about it. Who cares? And he doesn't. And Metal Gear is the furthest thing from anything he cares about.
Yeah, at this point, and I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, goodness gracious, was Death Stranding. So I'm in all honesty,
Death Stranding is a masterpiece.
So I'm going to, and this is before we press on to the next story, I'm going to do another Death Stranding run on hard mode, and I think I'm gonna make that a YouTube series.
Cool.
So I think that's
Cool.
something new.
You feel like you were, yeah.
I'm gonna expand my because now that I know that I don't have to use Windows Movie Maker, I can now
All right.
my
Yeah. So you're talking about editing your playthrough and adding your commentary and kind of doing like a let's play.
well that, I mean that's the commentary, but more like a like per the like like what I was doing with the Fallout and the Metal Gear Solid videos, where I
Yeah.
would do like little
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
segments, and then I would have like I'd throw in my own little background music and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
make up
yeah,
shit for it.
sure. But yeah, yeah, kind of chop it up and present it.
Yes. Now my only problem,
I encourage this.
the only problem that I have with this, and this is something, and again, before we press on, I'm gonna go hop back into the Kojima seat here again. Kojima, make it possible to turn off the music in Death Stranding. I get that you're trying to create like a little, you're trying to create atmosphere or what have you, but it is killing my playthroughs to have to cut out music every single time that I have to play this game. It
It
cuts
really
into
is.
every.
You really can't just even put the set the music volume to 0 or something like that. There's just not
There's
a.
no music slider. There's no music slider.
You can't turn the music off.
Nope. You have to
It's
turn.
a cinematic
It is the
experience.
general audio. You have to turn all the way down. So while you're carrying stuff, and you need to hear for those like things, you're supposed to hear for the
I am
when you think about to eat it.
agog.
Yeah,
I am aghast.
you can't turn off the music.
You sure? Like, have you Googled it?
I still had the playthrough. Or that I kept the playthroughs of it. But yes, there is no way to turn off the music in Death Stranding.
Wow.
It's nuts.
That is nuts.
So but yeah, it's ridiculous. And all right, I'm gonna step away for another quick second because
Cool,
dear
I
fucking
will
got on this team.
too.
So we'll take a brief moment, and when we come
Ah,
back, we will discuss Libertine.
wow, and someone just chucked some spices or something off of the counter in the kitchen, so.
Oh no. Yeah, we will become
Bastard animals.
bastards. We'll be right back.
Kittens. Kittens. Hi, you. What's happening, Cora? What are you throwing on the floor? What are you doing in the cabinet? Why are you throwing pepper on the floor? What is the kitten? What are you doing in the cabinet, you cat? Ooh. Ooh, look, we have some more dinner, some stew. You are, oh, you monsters. What do I love you so much? I love you so much. I squeeze. I capture the cat. Oh, you are caught by me. I love you so much. Look at your brother, Preeta. Oh, you kick me. You wouldn't want to kick me. I love you, cats. I love you, little tigers.
We'll cut back over here. Want to say hi, Faye? Hello, Faye Cat. Okay, so let's get everything queued up. Stretch it out.
Why so gross? I tried to sweeten and kiss you. Baby kittens. Everyone. All right. Funny little creatures. Beasties.
Little beasties. The cat's causing a ruckus.
The cats are causing a ruckus. A royal rumpus.
A royal rumpus. I like it.
A royal rumpus has begun. Beasties.
Damn beasties.
A cold front has moved in. It's been very windy. Freezing rain has been, and it's all kinds of things. He doesn't like the wind at all when he's out there. It upsets him very much. But he also, I think he doesn't like seeing the leaves and stuff blow by. It like excites him, like little animals are flying by or something. So he hates that. But then when like the freezing rain starts buffeting the house or any noise, he just starts freaking out. Like when the trees are like creaking because of the wind, and like the wind is very noisy. Like anything where it's any noise freaks him out. So he's been very cranky.
Understandable. I would not enjoy that myself.
And he doesn't like it when it's cold outside. It makes him very upset. I open the door and he looks out there and he looks at me like it's my goddamn fault. You know.
Yeah. Oh, Faye and Faye's here, just being a little Miss Needy over here.
Good.
Give her some lovin's.
Give her some touches.
I give
it is required.
It is. I'm paying the pet tax. You're getting excess. I expect a refund at the end of this transaction. But so next we are going to. Well, first of all, I should mention who these cats are. So the original story that I found on this, which blew me the fuck away. It was a video done by this gentleman, Austin McConnell. Super fascinating. Go check him out. Did a story about Libertine. Go watch it. And then you have this person right here, Comrade Dobler, who... So I was trying to find any form of source to base this off of other than McConnell's video, because I would feel I'd just be repeating what he was saying. So
sure.
I ended up finding an interview with the original concept creator of iLibertine, Gene Shepard. I found an interview with him from like 1968 on this old broadcast called The Long John Nebel Show. And Comrade Dobler was kind enough to have found it and uploaded it to his channel. So big shout out to them. Follow both of these folks. They make some interesting comment. Dobler does some more football stuff than anything that I've seen, like really, really old vintage football stuff. And then the occasional Gene Shepard, radio show stuff. It's interesting. Go check out the channels respectively. Where did I put that? I need to make sure I have the right things on. There we go. So this story starts off with this gentleman right here. This is Gene Shepard. Radio host, humorist, and writer, was claimed to be one of the first quote-unquote satirical black comedians in America, if at all. He's deemed to be like the godfather of dark comedy, quote-unquote. Now, for those of you not familiar with Gene Shepard's career, it's because not many people knew who he was. But what they do remember him for was being the narrator as well as the writer of the story, A Christmas Story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And as much as like this, so the funny thing about A Christmas Story is that it's basically encapsulated what Gene's entire radio shows were about. There were these long anecdotes about his childhood, his life, and he would just. And the thing is that during was it the late 50s? It was 1957, I believe. No, 56. Excuse me. He begins working on this talk show in New York City on WOR radio, from 1 in the morning until 5 in the morning. And I don't know if you don't remember, let's think back to those days. How many people were up calling radio shows between 1 in the morning and 5 in the morning? Probably not too many. Because this is because again, at this time, this is a whole new concept. Like, call-in radio shows have only been in since like the late 40s, early 50s. So this is like, new territory. And Gene really liked the medium of radio. He felt that he could use the radio as a means of making, as a canvas, as making art pieces. And he personally described that most of the radio shows that he would be following or would happen to listen to were more often than not these very generic, cookie cutter, severely formatted shows where it's like, joke punchline all the entire time. It's not, there was nothing fluid about it. There was nothing genuine about it. And Gene Shepard even himself was quoted as saying, "I use radio the same way a writer would use a piece of paper to say what he had to say about the world." And that's of course, going back, that is also from a quote from the Long John Neville show during that interview. So it was around 1956 when Gene does this broadcast. He does a broadcast during the evening from 1 in the morning until 5 in the morning, and he would generally, during his shows, he would have these general gripes with the more hoity-toity of society, the more upper crust, the holier than thou's, what I would personally describe the yoga masters of the universe. And I only say yoga masters as in a yoga master has the potential to stretch down and potentially fillet themselves, fillet themselves or eat themselves out pending. So when I refer to yoga masters, I refer to people that, yes,
least auto fellatio, you reckon?
Well, not very many people actually seek that, but what I'm referring to, when you take yoga,
why else do you want to get that limber?
That is a very solid point.
To slap the guy from across the room, like in Street Fighter.
Was it Dalsim?
Yeah, if you can blow a fireball, that means that you've sucked your own dick.
If you can spit a fireball, you can suck your own dick. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah. So you gotta learn the final secrets.
You gotta
blow balls and auto-fliction.
So you gotta suck cock in order to blow fire.
It's how you become one with whatever. There's like the serpent eating its own tail, the Ouroboros. Yeah, what's Libertine?
So, well, before we get into Libertine, just really quick. So Shepard had. There's something important to discuss as it pertains to this story. That is, Shepard liked to create this dichotomy between his listeners and what he called day people. He referred to his listeners as night people, and according to some sort of slang term dictionary, he is the originator of the term night people or a night person.
Okay.
So, fun fact.
Interesting.
No, that's at least according to him in this interview. But he claims he coined the term.
Yeah, neat.
But, yeah. So, and again, there's this huge dichotomy between the day people and the night people, and Gene Shepard is basically rallying the night people troops and saying all right, gang, I'm getting sick of these day people, and much like that episode of Rick and Morty where you have day people and night people, and you have everybody they have the night people pulling pranks on the day people, or the day people fucking up with the night people. This is exactly that sort of situation. So So Gene proposes to pull a prank on the day people. He suggests that initially it starts, everybody who's listening right now to this radio show, go to your local bookstore and ask for a book that doesn't exist. And then and he particularly had a lot of gripes with like lists, particularly like New York Times, your Billboard Top 100s, and so forth. But he would, yeah, he basically got sick of being like basically snubbed out of any sort of conversation as it pertained to general anything, whether it be food, books, what have you, general media. So he came up with this idea. Hey, how about this? We're gonna have everybody go to your local bookshops. Aw, Paprika. Go to your local bookshop, and you're gonna ask for a particular title. And he sat through an entire evening of calls, figuring out the title of a book. And eventually, it was like right before the end of his show, somebody calls in with the name I Libertine. And he goes, perfect, that'll be the title of our book. And right before he goes off the air, he comes up with this entire backstory of this author of this book, I Libertine. So he decides that the author's name is going to be Frederick Roland Ewing, Frederick R. Ewing, who is a British gentleman who served in World War II as a lieutenant commander, who is now a civil servant in Rhodesia, which is now, respectively, Zambia and Zimbabwe in Africa, where he lives with his wife Marjorie and writes for The Observer. This particular made-up person also does a broadcast on the BBC about 18th century erotica. And I Libertine was supposed to be the first in a chronicle about 18th century British courting life. and has been noted by the public been noted by journalists as stating that he is flattered that the general public enjoys his writings, despite the fact that they were meant for scholars.
Okay.
And so Gene also tells his audience to make sure to let people know when you're asking for this book, I Libertine by Frederick R. Ewing, that it was printed by Excelsior Press, which, again, at the time, I don't know anything about Excelsior Press, but I guess at the time, Excelsior Press was a printing company, publishing company owned by Cambridge University. So, if you were to question the validity of a Cambridge University published book, you would be out of your mind. Whether it be whether you were a publisher, a book reviewer, or a bookseller, you would know who Excelsior Publishing is. So he basically makes the whole story airtight as possible for people to go in and say, hey, I want a copy of I Libertine. And this was how it was supposed to break down. His idea was when the sellers go in and call their distributors, well, first of all, they're going to have the general buyers come in and ask for I Libertine. Seller looks through the list of in catalogs. Well, I Libertine doesn't exist. The person goes, oh, well, I'll just go to this store up the street. I believe they might have a copy. And they leave. So, and that's just one customer. But when you have multiple customers who are all in on this joke saying they're all looking for this book, this seller is going to start questioning his ideals. And he's going to start questioning, wow, am I not, putting my money on the right horse here? What is this book, I Libertine? So he will call his distributor. The distributor will tell him just the same as he found out, oh, that book doesn't exist. And again, just in the same manner, it's one thing if you have one seller come in and ask you, hey, do you have this book? It is another when you have multiple distributors or multiple sellers asking you for this particular book from a distributor. And then it goes even higher to the point that it goes to the people who make the lists themselves, like the New York Times best-selling list and so forth.
Okay.
So Gene puts this little earbug in everybody's ear and goes, okay, now go out and spread the news of I Libertine. Next day happens, and his show comes on 1 a.m. He's like, okay, what's the haps? What the first day of the social experiment, give us? A caller calls in and tells Gene about how he had done, as he said, he had gone into a local bookshop from which this particular caller was generally belittled by the owner, because the owner was like this, oh, oh, you like Kierkegaard? Oh, how pedantic, or something like, stupid like that. Oh, how droll. And, would get snobbed at by this guy all the time. So this caller goes in and goes to the shop. So goes, I want to buy a copy of Libertine. Well, we don't have Libertine. Oh, well, then, and, the seller then goes, but I'll see about getting it for you. And as he's like flipping through things, he looks up from the register and goes, Frederick R. Ewing. It's about time the public discovered him.
No,
Yes.
No way.
Yes. And it gets worse, and I love it. So it's becoming like an absolute like illness amongst people to lie about this book. A woman writes into Shepard a couple days later.
What year is this?
This is in 1956.
Okay, great. That's terrific.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is 1950s.
This is a contemporary of H.G. Wells and the War of the Worlds.
And Orson Welles with the radio play, the RKO radio play. Yes.
Were they related?
H.G. Wells and Orson Welles, no. They actually spelled their names differently. H.G. Wells is W-E-L-L-S. Orson Welles is W-E-L-L-E-S.
You ever see Orson Welles getting real drunk for that wine commercial?
The wine.
So unbelievable. The performance of a lifetime, I swear to God.
My favorite was when he was sitting there like this. And action.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
Absolutely drunk as hell.
Quick aside, as it pertains to Orson Welles, there was a God, what's his name? God, why can't I think of his name? The guy who does the voice of Brain from Pinky and the Brain.
That guy does Orson Welles on like the Animaniacs and stuff.
Yes, he does
frequency.
all.
Yeah,
yeah, that's Maurice LaMarche. I forgot. So Maurice LaMarche. Again, this is completely segue because I feel like it. So Maurice LaMarche has this thing where when he does when he tries to get into the Brain character, he has like a particular thing that he gets into, like a particular phrase that you get into. Like with Pinky, you do the narf and then you kind of end up in the character and you go. With Maurice LaMarche, it's the yes, and then he'll actually go into what was an old pea commercial that Orson Welles did. And what's funny about yeah, you've heard about this?
But didn't they do it on the show? The pea there's
yes, they actually did.
Orson Welles pea commercial on Animaniacs.
Yeah, they actually
was that his warm up, and they were like, let's just animate
do it for funsies, and then he ended up doing the whole bit with fucking Rob Paulson, who does the voice of Pinky. They did that. That was the initial basis of that scene. Was Maurice did it as a joke to warm up for Brain, and then people loved it so much. It was so spot on.
Is Robert Paulson involved in Metal Gear in some way? Wouldn't that be great to connect that all together? I swear to God, I feel like that there's a Robert Paulson involved in Metal Gear. Maybe not.
Solid? He might be. As far as I remember,
I'm gonna look him up on IMDb.
He did the voice of Cyborg Ninja.
Oh, there we go. In the first game. Okay, yeah. So he's also a Metal Gear Solid voice actor. To tie this all together,
all comes together.
This was planned. Yeah,
totally. Super fascinating. I didn't know that. And Rob
Paulson, there you go. Yeah, I had a feeling he was a MGS voice actor.
Another funny side note about Rob Paulson: he was also the voice of Major Glory on Dexter's Laboratory. The superhero.
I'm not as familiar with.
That's an obscure one. Like it blew my mind. Like you look at all these voice actors and you think, oh, that voice comes out of that cat. That's so fascinating. And you look at Rob Paulson and you hear him, doing the voices and things like that. It's impressive. He's super good at it. He does a great Pat Buttram. It's fantastic.
Pat who?
Pat Buttram, the dude from what was that show? Yeehaw. He kind of sounds
okay.
like this.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Somebody pour us in the
Yeah.
water hole. And that sort of shit. But anyway, so going back to Libertine. So so the day after he tells everybody to start asking people for, to go in and start asking for Libertine, he gets that phone call about time the people, the public discovered him. A woman writes in a couple days later and mentions that her and her gals at bridge were all hanging about, chit chatting, and she just out of the blue mentions Libertine. Three in the woman in her bridge club immediately peeked up and were like, "Oh yes, we've all read Libertine." And two of them said that they hated it, and one of them said that they liked it. So flash forward a couple weeks later, and not understanding that Gene Shepard didn't really understand that he had a lot of international appeal, especially considering that in New York City you have a ever-changing international audience potentially listening to you. So you have people going from New York City doing business and going back to their respective countries, and after hearing that radio show, well, I better bring this over here. They begin asking in other countries for copies of Libertine. And the same thing, and again, it just continues to spiral out of control. According to Gene Shepard, from Japan to Europe, it was a sought-after masterpiece written by this dude, Frederick R. Ewing. And it was at this point, most people would say, okay, let's stop it. This is getting a little out of hand. Gene Shepard goes, no. We're going to wait even longer to tell people, just to see how this pans out. It was about 3 weeks to a month passes, and he doesn't admit anything. It is at this point he receives a letter with in like a manila envelope about yay big. He opens it up, and he has this letter from this student who went to a college in New Jersey. And this particular student said that he had taken a history and literature class, and he decided to write an extensive paper on Frederick R. Ewing's Libertine, to which he made up the entire story about like where Frederick Ewing came from and his background and things like that.
Okay.
Even made up fake footnote citations for this paper. What grade do you think that kid got on that paper?
A+.
B+, but that was pretty close. Yes. No,
he
got a B+.
Oh, okay. Good, good.
Cool.
Good.
Yeah, he got a B+ on the paper with a note from the teacher stating, quote, "superb research." And Gene even recalled stating that in this letter, this student began questioning his entire educational career, including questioning the people that
why wouldn't
were
you
educating him. Yes, exactly. Nobody would doubt that.
This was a sociological experiment.
Yes, and
everyone go home.
And it's just everybody go home, and
there is no peace ending.
You're gonna ask for Maurice Paulson III's copy of Orson Welles Does a Pee advertisement. I don't know. Anyway, something along those lines. A month passes again. Another month passes, and he's like, "Dude, don't say anything. Keep this rolling." And it is getting insane now. It has gotten to the point that, according to Gene Shepard, that other book reviewers who were fans of the show were in on the gag. Good. And they were like, "Yo, we're gonna go play, folks." It turned out that they had played a New York City, a major New York City publication. And it was in this publication. Two different things happened. One, a columnist, in the midst of all this hullabaloo about Libertine, this columnist stated that he himself had lunch with, quote, Fred Ewing and Marjorie.
Marjorie.
Yeah, that's his wife.
Marjorie Ewing?
Yeah, Marjorie Ewing is Fred Ewing's wife, to which I
Of
forgot to
course.
mention. Yeah, I forgot to mention
Okay,
that is his wife.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you.
That was actually a part of the initial canon story that Gene Shepard told about who Fred Ewing was. But this person said, had a quick lunch with Fred Ewing and Marjorie while they were on their way to India for vacation.
Wow.
You can't make up this shit. And then even worse. Can't
make up the shit people make up.
Right. A book review in another major New York city publication came out about Libertine. And it turned out the book reviewer, and again, it turned out that these book reviewers were fucking with each other and made other people do these reviews about this book that doesn't exist.
Of course.
The epitome. Beyond the fact that after 2 months, this book was on bestsellers lists everywhere. The cream of the crop of this story to me was even the Boston Catholic Church were so appalled by the prospect of what this book could be about that they banned it before it was even written, before it was even created, because they believed that this existed. The Catholic Church banned the book. And it was at this point that Gene was like, Gene apparently, I believe, is a devout Christian. It was at this point that
Did
Gene
it have a reputation for having scandalous content?
Because again, Fred.
Or they were like, that seems very popular. Let's not have that around.
That's part one. Because it's obvious that they didn't actually take the time to read what was actually wrong with the book.
Well, no, because there was nothing to read.
Exactly. And for two,
can you get a copy of this book? If I look for this on Amazon, is that your final punchline?
Well, that will be the final punchline. Yes.
Okay. All right. You can tell me about. I'll wait for. I'll hold that question then.
I assure you, I'm like, we're on the final stretch here. So
all right, great. No, I'm not hurrying you along, but I mean that is. I have been wondering if this ends up with him just publishing it and it being full of bullshit.
Yeah, that's pretty much what ends up happening. So
that's. I don't mean to spoil it.
Oh no, dude. I'm gonna still tell it anyway because I wrote this shit down and I did research. No, so, Gene, who I believe was a devout person himself, felt that after the church thing, he was like, oh my God, now I'm disparaging the church. I'm in some shit. I should probably stop doing this.
Yeah, this is getting very silly. Yep. It's 1956. I don't want to make the church mad.
And this is like months after the
occurrence. What do you do? You go away?
During one point, he gets a call during one of his shows, and it turns out that it was a Wall Street Journal reporter. And basically goes, dude, I've been a fan of the show for the minute. I've been following this since day one. And this is fantastic. It's hilariously insane. But I think it needs to stop now before something seriously worse happens. And Gene even stated himself that it was at that point, even beyond the Catholic Church stuff, he was personally afraid that the president at one point would say that Libertine was one of his favorite books, and that Gene himself would basically have an absolute break in what is actual reality.
If the president says this, I'm going to lose my mind.
I'm going to lose. Yeah.
The president saying this.
So Gene breaks down and is like, okay, Wall Street Journal guy, you're the only one to actually catch on to this shit. And, like, you're a fan of the show, so yeah, I will cut you the scoop. And so on August 1st, 1956, staff writer Carter Henderson spills the beans on the Libertine hoax. And it is very much not well received by the American press at all. They are basically stating that, like, oh, this man, pulls a hoax in order to get people to listen to a shitty show, basically.
Yes.
That sort of like, undercutting done by the paper media. They're like, yeah, fuck this guy. He doesn't know what we do, sort of shit. Well, apparently in Europe, they thought it was the funniest fucking thing ever. And
Good.
Newspapers from all over are calling him, asking him about what's going on. And then he gets wind from somebody that somebody was trying to get the publishing rights to iLibertine. And he goes, well, we can't necessarily have that happen. That's technically my idea. But I don't want to make money off of a hoax, let alone off of being disingenuous to people, because that's what this whole thing was about people making money disingenuously.
Sure.
So it was about maybe a year after this that this publisher comes to Shepard along with an author named Sturgeon and goes, listen, we think that if we actually produce this book, it could potentially be a real seller. And again, Gene being the guy that he was, he's like, yeah, but I don't want to be disingenuous about it. So this is what we'll do. We're going to actually make this, and all the profits are going to go to charity. I was unable to find out which charity, but they eventually did make the book. And there's our man, Frederick R. Ewing, on the back cover, who is actually Gene Shepard in glasses and looking dapper. And
of course,
they have a whole about section about the author that is complete bullcrap. Actually, what was funny to me that I didn't notice is that if you look at the original cover of iLibertine, there's actually a whole bunch of references to Shepard himself, as well as his show, as well as the shadow author, the ghost writer, Sturgeon.
Tempestuous.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. It was hilarious, and it ended up that the actual story that they wrote was based off of stories of the real socialite Elizabeth Pierrepont, Duchess of Kingston upon Hull, who I have no idea who the fuck that is. But it was done so in such a comedic manner, and again, it was meant to be conveyed as not truth.
Oh no! Oh,
Paprika!
I accidentally smacked him.
Aw, buddy.
I didn't mean to. Oh, baby. Okay, he will be fine. I didn't smack him hard.
Poor buddy.
Poor
But
kitty.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it was just one big elaborate hoax, and I would only equate this type of chicanery to the
I'm sorry.
the Coney guy from what was that 2013 or whatever, the captured Coney.
Oh my god!
Thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
What the hell was that?
The whole Coney thing. The Coney thing was about Joseph Kony, who was like a warlord in the Congo.
Like in Metal Gear Solid or something?
Yeah, again, we're linking it all back to Metal Gear. I believe he was actually in Metal Gear 5.
Oh, yeah, actually, I think so, yeah.
But yeah, they had there was like a big campaign done by this person who tried to do multiple anti-bullying campaigns and viral campaigns that didn't end up like panning out or making money for him. So
yeah, right.
So he focused on this thing, and it ended up becoming such a phenomenon that that these people thought that if you donated and made things and made it known that you can stop a warlord just by donating to a cause and help children out, yeah, you all want in on that. It turned out that this guy really had no means or connections with the Congolese government and it was basically a overall it was a sham, but it initially started with good, and again, much like today's subject, deception for good. This was unfortunately good that ended up turning into deception. And things fell apart, and he ended up not it turned out that the organization that he started was actually not helping the Congolese whatsoever, and he ended up having the owner of this like whole Coney operation ended up getting arrested for public indecency because he had a mental breakdown and began masturbating in public.
Oh, wow.
So
Great.
funny side note to that story. Yep, that's the term "jacking it" in San Diego came about due to South Park's retelling of the story, if you will. And
I don't recall jacking it in San Diego.
It was the one where Stan was trying to do the campaign to get people to stop bullying Butters, but in the end, he was like really the one bullying Butters the entire time.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, and Stan says that he's gonna go jack it in San Diego, and there's Stan just like buck ass naked dancing in the middle of the of a public sidewalk, and people are staring at him, and you got these like a cappella singers like singing jackety 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 jack swackety 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 swack. But yeah, that was that episode. But yeah, that's the story of Libertine. That's
wacky.
That's Gene Shepard in the story, and the Frederick R. Ewing and Sturgeon's.
That's very funny. I like it.
Yeah, again, I'm hoping that, like, again, as much as like nowadays you get a lot of the you get a lot of people on like Steam selling video games that are worth thousands of dollars, but they look like shit. Like, have you heard about those types of stories? Those are fascinating.
Video games on Steam worth thousands of dollars?
Yes. In order to buy in order to buy the entirety of the game, people have to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Like something like The Sims.
Well, beyond The Sims.
Sims 4.
Okay,
but there's other things that have. You're talking about things that have so much DLC.
Well, it's not particularly DLC. It's actually just like actual portions of the game that you have to get through a paywall, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
And like the initial game costs is like $100 or something like that. There's been multiple games like that.
Sure. I mean, I know there's also like, but it's not. I mean, well, what I'm talking about. This is again DLC, but like Crusader Kings 2 is notorious for costing like $1,000 to several. Sorry.
Train Simulator was another one that also did.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, to get all of the content and all of the trains. Yeah, that's kind of like The Sims. Yeah.
Oh, Paprika, you look so chill, bud. He seems happier now, poor guy.
He's a good guy.
He seems like a good
kitty.
But I would love, because as much as like you have people like, I don't know, Video Game Donkey initially I felt was, the sort of anti-hero for the regular gamer as it pertained to dealing with, media misrepresenting video games and things like that. I would love to have a character in that sort of a vein, and take this sole concept of having a video game that doesn't even have things to go along with it, and then try to see if like much like they did the 76 run, much like any video game recently, like people keep getting incomplete games.
Oh yeah.
Like I was thinking like conceptually, what if you had like the entire hype package but no game? And then and I know this is like it's also another common trick that a lot of like developers do is that like they won't even have a base game, but they'll have a hype package in order to finish the base game. But what if you had all hype package and no gameplay, and then you've run that for as long as possible, but you make it seem like it's going to be the best fucking game ever?
Yeah, that's a good idea. How do we get started doing that?
I think that's something I kind of want to delve in. I honestly don't know, because I don't know a fucking thing about game development. But like I know you said you've been kind of dabbling in it. Like if you want to take that concept and run with that, I think it'd be funny. Like just make it's a game about nothing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. 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 I don't know. Yeah. Hype, huh?
Just all hype, no substance would be like the general uh motivation for people to pick
Yeah.
up this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to discuss that
It's
sometime because I think
happened
that
before.
it's happened before. Wait, somebody else has done this concept before?
Maybe not. Maybe not exactly. I don't have an example. It seems like the kind of thing that probably
That's what I'm
happens.
thinking too. Because like again, if it happened
Probably
here,
not intentionally. They're,
oh
probably in a
yeah,
fire festival sort of way. People start promising shit and then they're like, uh-oh,
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
this is not going to happen.
Mhm.
Cut the cord and run. But doing it intentionally would be a whole nother level of nonsense, yes.
But like so like do like an entire hype package of like of a release that's happening within a matter of a month. You know how like they did the Zelda um hype release. It's like it's like Zelda is coming out in a month.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. Why would you not take the time to really like again? You got all the hype in the world underneath like Zelda, a new Zelda game in general. But you're gonna kind of want to reach the base because how long has it been since Breath of the Wild? It's been at least like 7 years, something like that, 6 years
It's been a minute, yeah, something like that.
since the release of the Switch. So yeah, the reasoning behind not trying to hype this up a little bit more before the month it's released is ridiculous to me. So, but again, people are shitting their pants over it. So I was thinking conceptually, same sort of program. It's a month to release, and then like week after week after week, come up with delays, like random things that would delay it. Like oh, we ran into a trouble with the distributor. We will we're dealing with it. We'll have things up and ready to go in the next week, and they just keep going weekly, weekly, weekly. Like much in the same way that this has gone weekly, weekly, weekly. Like just keep hyping it up and making it like the experiment in Community where it'll be just another 5 minutes, and then
Right, yeah.
yeah, like that sort of thing. It'll just be another 5 minutes. It'll just be another week. And just keep doing that over and over again just to fuck with people. I think would be fantastic and hilarious. As much as I would feel terrible doing it, but I think it would be fucking hilarious. But I don't know. We'll have to figure that. We'll have to plan that out sometime. That's a fun concept.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Gene Shepard, for that one. Or I should say, Frederick R. Ewing.
Yeah. I like this Frederick R. Ewing fellow. I think I like the cut of his jib.
Indeed. I mean, come on. How many people that that can just immediately spout out about 18th century erotica? Come on. Not too many folks. Except for Shakespeare. Shakespeare, well, I mean, not Shakespeare. Shakespeare was 14th century, or 15th century? 15th century. Either way. I'm thinking about like the way that Shakespeare would write sexily about things. Like I don't know. Have you like I don't mean to be that again sound like the douchebag that Gene Shepard's trying to undercut. But have you read any Shakespeare? Have you read any Shakespeare before?
I mean, well, you know what? Like, I mean, it wouldn't be technically incorrect for me to say yes, but not really, no.
Yeah.
They made me read Romeo and Juliet and some shit in high school, and I've forgotten it. I used to be able to go, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers. And it ends with cry havoc and let's slip the dogs of war.
Yes,
no longer can I recite that.
Let's slip the dogs of war. Let's slip the dogs of war was from.
Oh, it was from Julius Caesar.
Yeah, okay, I was right.
Pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers.
That was a good one. I personally really liked a lot of the melodramas, romantic comedies that that Shakespeare did, I thought were pristine.
The
Like,
Taming of the Shrew,
Taming
a
of the Shrew.
midsummer's night dream. If we
Mhm.
shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended. That we have but slumbered here, whilst these visions did appear in this weak and idle theme. No more yielding, but a dream. Hi.
I liked Wilson from House. He was great in that movie.
Wilson from House?
Yeah, he was the kid who was
I don't know House at all.
God, what other movies was he in? He was in the not Once Bitten, but another vampire movie from the 80s where a teenager turns into a vampire and he has to hide it. Shit, what is his name? Wilson House. Actor.
From the 80s where a teenager turns into a vampire
Robert
and has to hide
Sean
it.
Leonard. What movies were you in? Robert Sean Leonard. Yeah, he's been like in House for forever. And then God, where did we go here? Manhattan. My Best Friend is a Vampire. It was the name of the movie from 1987.
Wow, yeah, I don't feel like I know that movie at all.
And then, well, he was also the kid who committed suicide in the Dead Poets Society. The one who had Red as his dad.
Wow, this is funny because I am completely unfamiliar with that movie as well.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah, I have no idea about the dead. Robin Williams, that's all I know.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yeah, is that I don't know anything about Dead Poets Society.
All right, let me.
There's a couple classics that I should maybe.
Let's see if I can find it.
Consume.
There we go. Oh, there we go. This guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't switch it. That guy. Yeah, he's in a bunch of shit. But yeah, he was on House and an assortment of other things. Dead Poet Society. What was another one? He's apparently on Blue Bloods, but I've never seen Blue Bloods. I have no clue.
Blue Bloods.
Let's see. The Last Days of Disco. I have no idea.
What's the guy? What's his name?
Sean. Fuck.
He looks like he's in a lot of TV episodes.
Robert Sean Leonard.
Anyway, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. I guess nothing I know.
No.
Yeah, I never watched House. People talked about it.
It's a good show. Give it a try.
Yeah.
I really liked the first 4 seasons. Like up until the season that, well, not to spoil it, but up until the season that House goes to jail, I really loved that show.
He goes to jail.
You'll see.
For malpractice? Oh man.
You'll see. I'm not going to tell.
Dr. House.
I know, he's getting saucy.
Jeez.
Little sassy friend there, Dr. House, popping all those Vikes. But yeah, bud. That was I Libertine and the TheHungHorse saga and Metal Gear Solid 5. Weird fucking shit. Again,
Konami sounds like a bunch of bastards.
They've always been. I mean, come on.
Crazy.
They make pachinko and gambling machines that are known to just not even be a game of proper chance. It's just nonsense to put money into. I don't even go.
And that's what makes them money, and that makes them more money than Metal Gear Solid 5.
Which is insane. Yeah, which is why why they focus on that.
Art is dead.
Art is in fact dead. Oh man, but yeah, but thanks again for popping in today, and yeah.
Thank you for having topics and stuff ready to go. I have been I've just been exhausted
No
wiped
worries,
out,
bud. Not a
sick of
problem.
everything.
Dude, you and
Mad
you
at
and me
everybody.
you and me both, bud. But yeah, like so we'll play Thursday by ear again. Let me know if everything's okay and
Yeah, hopefully I'm
mhm.
getting
And what was I gonna say?
I'm hopefully on an upswing.
I'm rooting for you, bud. So
Thanks.
CuyaDK.tv. You got any soap stuff to dish out?
I should, but nothing special
Nothing
at the
special.
time. Yeah, Patreon and Etsy are at CuyaDK.tv. Thank you, but one of my things I should be doing is having something that I can say about whatever we've done recently and whatever
No,
we've got going. I am so behind on everything, and
dude, you and
it's
me.
insane.
That
Yeah.
that's totally fine. Like, I mean, I'm in the
So
same
that's
boat.
yeah.
I'm sitting on like at least like 30 gigs worth of
Oh,
content
yeah.
that I need to
Yeah.
start divvying up desperately.
Just even sort in some way.
So far, it's just been
Yeah.
uploaded to YouTube and sitting there privately.
Oh man, well, yeah.
So hopefully I'll have some stuff coming up in
Yeah, let's
the
do
near
something
future.
Thursday. Yeah. So I mean
But
I feel like yeah.
yeah, if you're up for it, and again, like, no big. I like, I totally get it. Sometimes you just have a day. What was it, having
Oh
a
yeah,
normal one?
I've been having a couple.
Yeah, yep. Nothing like having a normal one, bud.
Yeah, totally normal one.
Yeah, but yeah. Again, we'll be back next Tuesday. I have no idea what the topic is for next week, but we'll figure out something fun. Um, and yeah, we'll be back here next Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Uh, CuyaDK, I'm Thrash K Shoot. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and yeah, catch you next time. Have a good one.
Thank you.